Stadium, the setting for so many great sporting occasions, Olympic Games, Cup finals and World Cup finals, but tonight playing host for the very first time to a World Heavyweight Championship fight. Frank Bruno against Tim Witherspoon for the WBA title. In due course, well over 40,000 people will be here, the biggest crowd ever to assemble for boxing in this country. And at ringside, many famous faces will be here. Perhaps the most famous of them all. Former fighters working for BBC Radio. It's celebrities all the way. We know what she means. Even the ladies are here. Well, at lunchtime today, the two men who will do battle in a round in an hour and a half from now came face to face at the weigh-in for the fight. Bruno was a magnificent-looking 16 stone 3, round about the weight one would have expected. But Witherspoon shocked the crowd, weighing in at 16 stone 10. In fact, he was very nearly 16 stone 11, and they reckon that's something like 10 pounds heavier than his normal fighting weight. Well, the fighters arrived here at Wembley a few hours ago. It was still daylight, and Bruno, well, he looked full of confidence. He's probably a little edgy inside. This is the most important night of his life. And he was mobbed all the way. Witherspoon, despite his apparent weight problems, carrying a lot of excess around his stomach, is full of confidence, and it may just be that he's taking Bruno just a little bit lightly. Well, now, nearly 12 hours on, their night's work still some time away. Bruno and the champion Witherspoon prepare themselves. Bruno occupies the dressing room that the England football team favour, incidentally. It's from that dressing room that they went out and won the World Cup here 20 years ago. These pictures taken just a few seconds ago, and absolutely necessary that Bruno goes out there warmed up. Witherspoon, he's done a lot of arm raising over the last few weeks since he's been here, but he doesn't look in great condition. But you've never seen a champion more relaxed than that. Well, good evening to you. In the next half hour or so, we'll be assessing Bruno's chances of lifting the heavyweight title, hearing from the champion himself, and meeting some of the leading personalities congregating for this big fight occasion. Well, Harry Carpenter's getting all set down at ringside. Henry Cooper, who shot the then Cassius Clay in this very arena 23 years ago, will be giving us his verdict too. And Barry McGuigan, who knows all about strength-sapping occasions like this for championship fighters here. Evening, Barry, nice to see you. And here's a lady who's got away from Dirty Den to talk to nice, clean Des tonight. Anita Dobson, one of Bruno's biggest fans, and Big Frank tells me that the feeling is entirely mutual, incidentally.
Thank you. Good evening.
Well, Frank Bruno is already a much-loved and respected sportsman in this country, but can you imagine what the next 24 hours will be like for him if he can actually win the championship? If Frank Bruno is in this restaurant in the early hours of tomorrow morning, you can bet we'll be celebrating a British World Heavyweight Champion. With the timing of this fight, it'll be breakfast with Bruno, and some breakfast that would be. British claims to any glory in the heavyweight division up to now are tenuous, to say the least. Bob Fitzsimmons went to New Zealand as an infant and won the title in 1897 as a U.S. citizen.
He can't hurt Farr, and Farr lets him know that, and Farr jumps into him, and he's crashing blows at Lewis. Farr jumping at Lewis, bombarding Lewis with blows. There's the bell for the end of the fight.
That challenge by Tommy Farr and Henry Cooper's effort 3 years after he first shook Muhammad Ali here are two of the more memorable chapters in Britain's heavyweight title story since.
The bell has sounded, and he's up at about 3, Clay.
This little chap would have been blissfully unaware of Cooper's challenge, but he's developed into the most awesome-looking heavyweight ever produced in this country. And Bruno's attitude and the manner in which he conducts himself have already marked him as special.
I believe in God, you know, everybody's got something to believe in. Pray every night. I don't go to church every Sunday. I just pray to God every night to be heavyweight champion of the world. That's what I pray.
Bruno's clean-cut image, his plain niceness out of the ring, as much as the mayhem he causes in it, has made him one of Britain's most popular sportsmen of all time. Even without a championship to his name, Big Frank has been able to claim undisputed celebrity status.
Right, and he looks very big as well, doesn't he, Harry?
Have you ever seen him?
No, I saw him in training today. He looked very sharp, very good.
Now, you've had just one defeat in your professional career. Do you think it's possible that out there tonight you might just suffer a second?
Well, I've just got to keep running. Keep running. Just keep running, Mary.
But still, Ryan Stobie comes forward. Oh, he's got him on the field! Frank has shown time and again he can go the distance in any chat show contest.
So what started you in boxing? Was it to defend yourself in the schoolyard or what?
I wanted to make some money, Joe. Well, I weren't a solicitor or I weren't a talker like yourself on the radio, on the television, so I had to use my body to make something of my life instead of robbing banks or something like that.
And at comedy, well, he's definitely a knockout.
Juliet, Juliet, Juliet. Oh, Romeo, oh, Romeo. I haven't seen these since the Wayne. Oh, Romeo. He is my lady, is my love. Oh, to hold the hand inside that glove. Behold her girlish frame, so graceful and so slender.
Bruno has captured the imagination of the British public, even those for whom boxing normally is of little interest. And the purveyors of pop are never slow to join the bandwagon.
Yeah, I'm a great music fan. I love music. That's what keeps me going. I can listen to anything that you can polish your foot on the dance floor or tap your toes to, anything that makes the toes click I can listen to.
Bruno is a star who mixes with the stars, and even his GBH on the English language has produced a kind of cult following.
How long did it take you to get over the effects of that punch? What punch was that?
Cagey customer, you know? You'll have to be a special human being to really beat me that night.
Bruno has got to be the hardest hitting heavyweight in the world today, and he just proved it.
Where's Harry? On July the 19th, I'm going to be the new heavyweight champion of the world.
Bruno then is already heavyweight champion in the personality stakes. Heaven knows how famous he'll become if he can lift the title. You know what he means?
Hey, listen, I want you to watch my fight on BBC with Des and Harry, if you know what I mean.
We're all getting a little nervous here, aren't we, about what's going to happen. How long have you been a fight fan? I suppose, well, you actually are an East End girl, aren't you?
Oh, yes, through and through. My father's a great boxing fan.
Yes.
And a lot of good fighters came from the East End. So Frank Bruno is fighting not just for a title, but for everybody he wants to win.
Are you getting a little edgy about getting
yes.
down and looking? You're not one of these women now who gets up and sort of...
Well, it's the first time I've been to a match, so I don't know, but I feel as if I might be.
I think you're going to be.
I hope he wins.
Yeah. Barry, good to see you. How are you feeling now after the battle in
I'm
Las
resting at the
Vegas?
minute, and I'm back to my normal self again. Put a bit of weight on, and you know, as I say, taking things easy. But I'm over here looking forward to a great fight and looking forward to a Bruno win.
Just before we mention that, you're looking forward to a Bruno win. But what about yourself? Are you going to fight again?
Well, at this stage, I'm resting, and I'm going to be taking a long time to make a decision. I think that decisions made in haste are the wrong decisions, so I'm going to take a long time and
Well, you made one in
discuss with my
haste, and you're
family.
going to sit back and relax for a
Yeah,
while.
I'm going to relax for a while.
Good for you. Now, what about this? You reckon a Bruno knockout victory here tonight?
Well,
is that influenced by the weight that Witherspoon showed at the weigh-in, do you think?
It certainly doesn't help matters. I mean, Witherspoon is one of these people whose weight's inclined to fluctuate, and I believe that he's probably at his best around 15-12, 15-11. Having looked at his record very carefully, he fought. Apparently, he fought around 15-10 or a little bit less than that when he fought Pinkerton Thomas for the title, and he lost the title to him. Yet he beat Tony Tubbs in his last battle. But Tubbs looked well out of condition too. So I'm just not sure. I feel that Bruno's power has got to be the decisive matter. In the early rounds, if he lands with a clean punch, he can win the fight early.
We'll talk a little more in due course. Well, the bookmakers see Bruno as a slight favourite to win tonight. It's absolutely unprecedented for a British challenger to go into a heavyweight title fight favoured to beat an American champion. But Witherspoon, despite actually having 3 fights fewer than Bruno in the professional ring, is vastly more experienced when it comes to championship bouts. He'd already won and lost the WBC version of the title, before he became WBA champion. And as a professional, he's never been knocked off his feet or stopped. This is his 5th world title fight tonight. He's been down this road before.
For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
144, 141 for the winner and new heavyweight champion of the world, Tim Witherspoon has won it.
Tim Witherspoon is a confident man. It's not surprising for someone who grew up in Philadelphia, a city that's been home to more heavyweight champions than anywhere else.
When I step out that ring tonight, that belt's going to be around my waist because that belt belongs to me.
Like most American heavyweights, Witherspoon isn't short of an answer when asked why he's special.
I don't, intelligent, strong, punch hard, and clever, if you want to say that.
Modest.
Yeah.
Witherspoon emerged in 1983 when he fought Larry Holmes to a standstill, but lost a decision everyone but the judges thought was his.
Larry Holmes is hurt. He's out of it.
Yes, he is.
He's out of it.
All he's got to do.
He's out of it.
Larry Holmes, we have a minute and 30 to go.
Larry Holmes is out of it.
One more, he's going to go down.
He's out of it.
That 9th round is like a mystery to me. I could, like, next time I would fight him, it would be a heck of a lot different.
At the end of that fight, there was a shot of you where it looked as if you were expecting the decision to go your way.
Right. Because I felt as though I outpointed them. I felt as though I was the aggressor. Well, he was biting his fingernails. He was biting his fingernails and you know, nervous. He knew he lost.
A man who worried Holmes won't be worried about fighting far away from Las Vegas. Basildon in Essex has borrowed ideas from America, but somehow it's not quite the place you'd expect to find a champion's training camp. American fighters abroad usually say they're mean or bad. This one doesn't.
I think he's lovely. Oh, he's great.
So do I.
He's gorgeous. He's great.
Yeah. He's lovely. I love being Yeah, yeah. But like a freak.
You've come over and in some ways you've tried to charm England rather than frighten us.
Right, because to me it's a sport. It's a way of life for me. I love it. I love doing interviews. I love the people that's around it. And to me, a boxing or karate is not to be used in the streets or to scare people. It's used as a sport.
Fight class. All right. The best way till you win.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice police officers. They're police officers, not cops. That's disrespectful when you say cops. Police officer.
Later tonight, however, the jokes and diplomacy will stop. The fighter will be revealed.
I'm definitely going at Frank Bruno because I know I got what it takes and what it takes to stay in there a long time, but it's up to me. It's up to me to just pursue it. So I think I'm going to go after it this time for real.
So no championship for England or Britain?
Hey, not if I can help it. He said I'm going to have to kill him, but he don't know he had to take the title from me.
One thing that's upset Witherspoon in England is the suggestion he's overweight and not as fit as Bruno.
I don't like all the big muscles, you know, and I don't think that in a hard fight, he's going to get tired, believe me, with all that. If he has to fight me every round, he's going to get tired. But if it's a fighter like Philip Brown running around, it's like a sponge. He can do that for 10 rounds, chase a guy and box. But if I punch back at him and go to the body and punch and try to back him up, he's definitely going to get tired, like you saw in the Bonecrusher fight.
The headlines have dwelt on Witherspoon's weight, just like they dwelt on his problems with the boxing authorities earlier this year, after it was discovered he smoked marijuana.
If they care about athletes, then help them. Don't take the title from me. Don't take my livelihood or where I could take care. I almost couldn't take care of my family because of that. You know, and then I'm still left with the problem. If I had a problem, then they take the belt, kick me out in the street, I might get killed, I might die. But if they let me stay in with the title, then we could work together, and then we could be happy, and then you could say they helped me out or did something to me.
In America, Witherspoon is clear favourite to retain his title. The Las Vegas bookies seem to share Witherspoon's view of Bruno.
Hell of a nice guy. I'll say it again, I've been saying it to all of them. He's a nice guy, and I'm gonna knock him out.
Well, let's now hear from a nice guy who knocked out a few nice guys in his time and very nearly knocked one out here all those years ago. Henry Cooper, he's down at ringside there with Harry.
Henry, you're exactly the man to talk to on a night like this, because we're back in the place where, what was it, 1963?
Yeah, what is it,
You fought
23
Cassius
years?
Clay as he was then, and put him on the seat of his pants.
Yeah, it brings back pleasant memories, that, Harry. I can't really... It's funny, you come back into a time like that and you can't really remember that, Nigel. What call of you?
So we
I
go into
couldn't
the
tell
next
you what
tape, do we,
call
out
or
of this?
where it happened, what rope tied him on the deck. No.
Now, you tell us, Henry, because you know better than anybody, what do you think, how is Frank Bruno feeling at this moment? It's not too long to go now before he has to come out. You've been in this position, in this very stadium.
Yeah.
How do you think he's feeling?
Well, he must now, I suppose the adrenaline now is just beginning to really flow now. You know, about an hour before is perhaps the worst time, I suppose, for a fighter. If he's the managers, you know, they about an hour before and that they clear all the well wishers and all the friends and the brothers and the, you know, aunts and uncles all out the dressing room, and they want now just to basically keep him quiet, let him just, you know, do his own thing and be relaxed. And I suppose Frank now is just beginning to feel the adrenaline flow. You know, he wants now the bell. He wants to get here. He's waiting for it to be called so he can come in the ring, so that bell can go, so he can get the fight on the way. And once that happens, then you lose all that like bit of butterflies in the old tummy bit, but you just want to get the job of work done and done with then. Yeah.
You see, what fascinates people like me, and most people in the country, is that one punch can change your entire life, as indeed it did for you, didn't it? The fact that you put Cassius Clay on his bottom changed your life completely.
Oh yes, quite true. I mean, it can change it in like different ways. I mean, if you're the winner, it can, you know, you land the big punch, it can change it, it will bring millions. And if you're on the receiving end of it, it can perhaps take a lot of money or a lot of aspirations away from you. But no, I think, you know, it's a big night. See, Frank is in the dressing room there, and if I remember rightly, every now and again you've heard the chanting goes up, Bruno, Bruno. I can remember when I was here, it was Henry, Henry. And that gives you a little lift, it gives you a little boost, and you just say, yeah, let's get out there and let's get the job of work done. Yeah.
How do you think Frank's going to go in this?
Well, I've got a sneaky feeling he's going to do pretty good. You know, I think, as I've said before, if he comes out, what I'd like to see him is, you know, test the guy early on, throw some big right-hand punches early on. I mean, Witherspoon, you know, was much heavier than we all anticipated. He won't be the sharpest or the fastest things on two legs. So I think, you know, Frank, if he can, you know, come out, start fast, pick his punch, straighten him up with that left jab a little bit, and then cross that right. If he hits him, he'll go.
Let's hope so, Henry. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Big H with little h. Frank Bruno, as you know, is guided by British boxing's most successful ever management team, headed by Terry Lawless. Lawless has already produced 4 world champions, John Stracey, Jim Watt, Maurice Hope, Charlie Magri. But has he now produced a man who can win the heavyweight championship of the world?
And a right hand puts his man down, and he doesn't look as though he's going to get up. And over goes Sharkey. That was a good left hook, and it's taken everything out of Jameson. Bruno has just shown the American public what he can do with a punch.
Open your hands out.
Bruno, the sporting star everybody wants to meet, is a national celebrity, unrecognizable from the immature, naive young man of a few years ago. He's been guided all the way by Terry Lawless, and it's at Lawless's home in Essex that Frank moves to before a big fight to escape the inevitable media pursuit. How does Lawless go about his job?
Well, today, if you're going to be a sporting star, it's much like I would imagine the people that are in the East Enders these days. Suddenly from nowhere, they've become national figures, and they've got to learn how to conduct themselves. And it's very hard for a young boy who's a sportsman, and you know, he hasn't seen that side of life. And he's got to be prepared to go to a dinner and sit next to somebody, and they're going to ask his opinion on the political side of the country, and they expect him to give an opinion. So, you know, I've tried from an early stage to make him aware of the sort of questions he's going to get asked, and that he'd better listen and have some sort of an answer, even if it's only a funny one.
You were at that ABA final that he won in 1980.
With PKS.
Yeah. What do you remember about that final?
The most vivid thing is it wasn't the greatest of fights to start with. It was a very close decision, but it was the thing that attracted me to Frank was just his will to win. He was exhausted come third round, but he was taking these big gulps of air and he was trying to get back to win. You know, most big guys, they look to hold and hide, don't they, when they get tired, but Frank was still trying to win, and that impressed me.
How did you come to meet him and talk business?
I went to his home and I met his family. He asked me to go to his home and I went, and you know, I don't promise people. There is no rose garden in the boxing world. I just told them how hard it was, and I tell them all that they should look for something else if they possibly can.
Frank accepted that, but there was still a major problem. His eyesight needed correction. It involved an operation in South America. It was 2 years before he could make his professional debut in March 1982 at the Royal Albert Hall against Lupe Guerra of Mexico.
Well, by then, of course, he was really a well-known figure already because of the eye problem and the weight and a legal problem that I had. He was well known to most boxing people by then, and of course he was ABA champion. So I think, I can't remember the top of the bill that night, but I think everybody there was there as much as anything to see Frank Bruno, myself included, of course. And he could not really have done a better job, could he?
Bruno setting him up with the left jab there. Down he goes again. Oh, that punch seemed to land across the top of the head. And I don't think he wants to get up from that one. And he's out.
He really didn't get a chance to see if it was going to be tough or hard because it was over so quickly.
Now, we've talked, as far as his fights are concerned, mostly about the good times. There haven't always been good times, and we know of a couple of them. I'm thinking first of Jumbo Cummings, where Frank wobbled a bit that night, but he survived.
Yeah, he certainly was hurt, and he was lucky it was the end of the round. But I just touched his arm and he turned to the corner, and by the time he sat down, he knew where he was and what it was all about.
The only thing is, of course, that after the Cummings fight, where he presumably should have learned a lesson, he proved not to have learned the lesson too well against Bonecrusher, because there he had a fight which, to me, he'd won by a mile.
Yeah.
And then lost it when he shouldn't have lost it, right at the end.
And he doesn't know where he is. Smith doing a Cummings on him. And Bruno looks out on his feet to me. Oh, he's got him. Bonecrusher Smith has crushed his man.
Has it been a very valuable lesson to him?
Well, being unbeaten is always a burden. With Frank, that was on his back as well, the unbeaten record. But most of all, what it's gained Frank 2 odd years in time, because if he'd have beaten Bonecrusher, I think we'd have been in this position a year or so earlier, and he certainly wouldn't have been ready for it then.
Let's come up to date now with the fights that have led to his chance with Witherspoon. First of all, with Anders Eklund, one of the better performances, do you think?
Certainly one of the better finishes. He did it all with the right hand, and that was a good performance. Everybody expects a spectacular win from him, and thank goodness he gave him one with that.
Is he going to beat the county? I don't think he is. He's not coming up, and Bruno is the European champion, and he's made his mark in the world.
Were you as startled as I was with the way you handled Jerry Kutsia?
I couldn't say I wasn't surprised. Of course I was. I didn't expect that to happen. On reflection, I'm not surprised that he knocks anybody out quickly, because if he catches anybody, then there's a good chance he's going to knock them out.
He's got him again. He won't get up from that. He's stretched out over the photographers. He'll never make it. He's out. And Bruno is on his way to a crack at the world title.
For me, Frank is probably the fittest man in the world. He's certainly the fittest fighter I've ever seen. So much depends on how Frank handles July the 19th. I mean, I personally think he's going to cope with it because he has matured so much in the last year. He's got so sure of himself in the last year. And he has watched, for some reason or other, he's watched Witherspoon for a long, long time. He's probably got every video that there's been of Tim Witherspoon, and he has watched him for a long, long time. Almost as if he knew that one day that was going to be the big one, Tim Witherspoon. You know, I think he's going to get it right.
Well, we certainly hope so. Have you actually met Frank, Anita?
No, it's unfortunate. We've come very close to meeting on 2 or 3 occasions, but we've never actually met yet.
Oh,
So.
we'll try and introduce you later if he has
Hopefully
a
if
good
he
night.
wins, yes, he must.
Certainly. And what's all this about him naming one of his pets after you?
Well, I believe, so rumour hath it,
Yes.
that he's named his dog after me, which I'm
But
sure
not
is meant
after
as a
your
compliment.
character,
Yes.
after Angie.
After Angie,
Yeah,
yes.
that is a compliment, I
hope so.
yeah.
I'm sure my on-screen husband would approve.
Now, Barry, final assessment.
I'll try to keep it brief. I see 2 results to the fight. I think that either Frank will win early on, first 3 rounds if he lands properly, and he's got tremendous power, or else it'll be a points decision for Witherspoon. But I feel at this stage my heart says Bruno.
Bruno. Now, let's have a little bit of woman's instinct here, because, all right, you admit you're not a fight expert,
No.
but you're a fight fan,
Yes.
you're an East End girl.
Yes.
Go on.
I think Bruno has to win tonight. He has so many people behind him, and Witherspoon looks out of condition, and Frank Bruno looks fabulous.
Agreed, yeah.
So he has to win.
I'll tell you what, she'll be doing the inter-round summaries. Okay? What do you reckon?
What a job, my boy.
Okay. Well, thanks very much indeed. Nice to have you here. Hope you enjoy the fight later. Now, the only live coverage of the fight is on BBC Radio, and if you're going to listen to that, you've got good few minutes to get a cup of tea or a beer or something and tune the old set to Radio 2, 1500 metres. That's at midnight. For us, you'll see coverage BBC 1 tomorrow night, 8:35. Now, just before we go, let me show you this. Tomorrow's Sunday Mirror. But boy, are they ready. That's what they hope you'll be seeing tomorrow, and we all hope so too. Hear, hear, indeed. Good luck to Big Frank, and from us, for now, cheerio.
This morning, the biggest boxing occasion ever staged in Europe. One that really does justify the tag, the fight of the century. 40,000 fans have paid £3 million for the pleasure of seeing Frank Bruno's bid to become the first British-born heavyweight champion of the world in 90 years. This fight with Tim Witherspoon is assured of a television audience around the world of over 100 million. Welcome to ringside, where I can assure you the atmosphere more than matches the occasion. There is an overwhelming passion of patriotism around. Frank Bruno, who will start this fight as all-con favourite to dispossess terrible Tim Witherspoon of the WBA crown, will enjoy massive support. No fight in the history of British boxing has generated such hype and publicity. But the war of words is over, the time for action is nigh. We know that Bruno has the punch to win this fight, but the big question, is the chin brittle and vulnerable? Bruno's dream of winning this world title has really forged a grim determination. But in this air of euphoria, to underestimate Tim Witherspoon's impressive record would be very dangerous indeed. Earlier, we watched the 2 fighters in their final preparations in their dressing room. Frank Bruno insisted on the dressing room for which England emerged to win the World Cup. He tailed off his training 5 days ago. He's obviously in supreme physical condition, and manager Terry Lawless has to establish the perfect mental approach for his first 15-rounder. Witherspoon at 28 should be at his peak, but he spent most of his stay in this country discounting the presence of a paunch. He weighed in 7 pounds heavier than Bruno, 12 pounds over his most efficient fighting weight. He does look flabby, yet one still feels the longer the fight, the more it will favour Witherspoon. Well, there's a fortune awaiting the 2 men, and of course, there's plenty of money around the ringside soon. The rich and famous are here. There's Muhammad Ali, a legend that set the big buck standard. Sadly not the man he was, but he still claims the enormous affection of the fans. As does Henry Cooper.
who of course floored Ali in their fight in this stadium 23 years ago. Sugar Ray Leonard, a boxing multimillionaire who still hankers after Hagler, but he's here as a ringside expert for the American TV network. Trevor Berbick's here. Berbick is the WBC heavyweight champion. He's obviously in the shake-up to find the undisputed champ. And there's the engaging Barry McGuigan, now a former world champion, but looking very happy with life. He thinks it could be Bruno in 3. And Bob Geldof certainly deserves a night off after the enormous effort he's made to raise money for starving Africa. Well, Bruno and Witherspoon will very shortly be leaving their dressing rooms to emerge in this arena. They will receive a tumultuous reception. Let me hand over to our ringside team now, the former world champion Jim Watt and our commentator Reg Guthrie.
So there's the first look then of the hooded Frank Bruno leaving the dressing room, with all his stablemates were in there with him. Didn't want to be alone. And the crowd have yet to see him as he comes up the famous Players Tunnel. So the crowd roar, the chant for Bruno as he actually leaves the dressing room, comes out, the tunnel exit there, and there's the man. The big moments arrive for big Frank Bruno, very much the hero of the nation, isn't he? They've really taken to this fellow. Shared the dressing room with his stablemates. He doesn't want anything changed. He doesn't want the pressure to get to him, he says. But there must be more than just butterflies in the belly as he comes on now. He admitted that he had them early today. But there must be some kind of going to war tension in a man's soul and body at this stage. Through this battery of cameras, remember, going live across the nation in America. As Frank Bruno now gets into the ring with this beautiful crimson dressing gown, and then soaks up the cheers of the crowd, because he knows that almost to the man, except those few that may have pitted against him, happen to be with him. Bruno there obviously responding to that marvellous reception. And the wave there of the Stars and Stripes of the huge entourage of Timmy Witherspoon from Philadelphia. Holder, of course, of the World Boxing Association Championship, and formerly the holder of the other version, the World Boxing Council. So the tail of the tape, as you can see there, they're both the same height. Of course, the weights are causing a bit of controversy. Bruno 16.3 and 15 ounces. That's just 15 ounces more than when he knocked out Yeri Kutsia. But Witherspoon looked as though he's fattened up a bit at 16.10 and 12 ounces. But then when he was 15.7, he actually lost to Pinkman Thomas, so who knows. And Bruno, 82-inch reach, so that'll help him as well. Camp of about 30 people have led Witherspoon in, apart from the security and the London Bobby. I bet Bruno's dying to say, I see you brought all your mates with you. All I've got are my friends and manager and cup and a trainer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand to honor the national anthem of the United States.
So they'll able to part for the US anthem. you are then. There's the career record. Bruno 29. And only one loss, of course, to James Bonecrusher Smith. And he stopped at 27 inside the distance. The champion Witherspoon then 26 fights. He's won 24 inside the distance 16. And his losses to Larry Holmes and Pinkland Thomas, and they were both split decisions. Well, it's a bit protracted, I must say this. And I'm sure both boxers now could do without this final chat, because they've had it in the dressing room from the World Boxing Association supervisors and the referee. They know the rules. Remember, if either man goes down 3 times in one round, it's an automatic knockout. I'm not keen on that rule, but that's the World Boxing Association. Only that you can't tell whether it's a slip or a shove sometimes. So it's like sitting on red alert here for Jim Watt and I, wondering when those bombs are going to explode. Witherspoon, remember, is essentially an inside fighter. He likes to get inside the guard. You see him ducking and diving to get in already. That's what soccer commentators would call setting his stall. See that? It's a bit dangerous if he's going to lean in like that. Bruno can tag him. Now the referee already having to work hard in there instead of yelling break. I suppose that they can't really hear it above the crowd. So there you are, it's hardly a feeling range there. They've jabbed each other fairly hard in the opening minute. He looks a bit clumsy at times, Witherspoon. I've seen him quite a lot, but he makes it effective, and I would think Bruno's got to try and stand off and hit him with long punches, especially that right hand over the top now. Watch for that. He'll try and shoot it over Witherspoon's left lead. There it is there. Just put him a clip round the ear of that to let him know what it was about. But Witherspoon, durability, that's been his game. Never been put down, remember. And been in with some big fighters and big men too. And that's twice he's unloaded the right hand. No effect yet. And these big swipes coming in from Witherspoon now. Trying to shrug that off one, Jim, isn't he, Witherspoon? That didn't hurt.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased with Bruno. He certainly isn't overawed by Witherspoon. His temperament looks good. He's letting the punches go. We can see him winding up the right hand. He just can't wait to land some good punches. I'm hoping for some success for Bruno in the first or the second round, just to get him right into the fight and give him his confidence. But this is a good start from Bruno.
Fighting away well inside there, Bruno. That never used to be his game. That's something that he's learned in the last year or so. And a little stare right at the end of the round. That's always inevitable, of course. Well, a very lively start indeed for Bruno as he tucks himself in the corner there with obviously the faces he knows so well, and gets a little bit of wash and brush up with Vaseline around the eyes there. That just stops the chafing of gloves, hopefully to stop any cuts. Remember, he's only 24. Big lad, isn't he? And Witherspoon's 28. There he is, Witherspoon. Former American football player, a tight end. So he's brought up in rather the hard conventions of the ring, really. And that's what's known in the trade as a cut man, Eddie Aliano. But he isn't cut yet, I don't think. I don't know why he's actually doing the second, and it's usually somebody else, but he's doing the lot tonight. Or should we say this morning?
Second up, round 2.
into this second round then. I'm very surprised and pleased too for Bruno that he's fighting inside like that, Jim, fighting well.
Yeah, this is a good start by Bruno. I know Bruno's camp reckon that Bruno's jab is going to trouble Witherspoon, and already he's sticking the jab out with plenty of power behind it. Witherspoon has a lot more dangers than Bruno inside, as you can see here. If Frank can keep it at long range, unload some of the bombs, we'll all get what we're hoping for.
He might look like a bit of a podgy man there, Witherspoon, but I tell you, he really is durable. And he stays 15 rounds like he really does. Marathon runner. But whether he's treated Bruno too lightly, we're now going to find out, because this is sharp stuff from Bruno. That quick win over Jerry Kutsia certainly has given him some marvellous confidence. But he's having to take some raps around the head nonetheless. It's not all going his way. Not trying to throw the full power in with every punch, Bruno. That's smart. He can just rattle a few in to keep Witherspoon occupied while he's working out what he's going to do with the harder shots. Bruno's manager, Terry Lawless, is always saying the opposition's face changes when they feel Bruno's left jab, Jim. Do you think that's happened or not here? I don't really think we can judge that, can we?
Well, it certainly does. You have to remember that the big difference at this stage is that Witherspoon has been here before. This is the first time Bruno's boxed at this level. Now, Witherspoon knows he's good over the distance. He knows he has a good chin, so he's not in any hurry. Bruno needs a good start. Therefore, this is probably Bruno's best work he's putting out at this stage, because he wants that good start. But at all times, Witherspoon's going to be dangerous.
Crowd rising to that as Witherspoon kind of floundered across the ring a bit. He was caught off balance, but he was caught nonetheless.
Toyota Celica GT. It's got something you can't put your finger on.
For over a century, TSB was happy looking after people's savings. But in 1965, we extended our services. Things looked up. We gave our customers current accounts, then personal loans. Next, we introduced the trust card. Today, we lend money to industry and commerce. We offer a wide range of investment and insurance schemes and mortgages to thousands of home buyers. Yes, when it comes to improving our service, the sky is the limit. TSB, the fastest moving bank in Britain.
When you see a beer that's strong yet smooth because it's matured over beechwood, sometimes you have to say, what the heck, and make your move. Budweiser, coolest beer in town.
There are many experts in tennis. Some say you cannot serve over 250 kilometers an hour. Some say tennis player should not get himself dirty. Some say a 17-year-old can't win Wimbledon. Maybe they don't know. My tennis gear is made by Puma.
Because this is not what Witherspoon was expecting. I think Witherspoon expected an upright British boxer. But Bruno's shown plenty of aggression. He's taken his chances. He's been caught a few times, but never shaken.
He may have to try and pace himself a little bit as he goes along now, Bruno. If he can't nail Witherspoon, he may have to take a sort of half a breather in some rounds. What a good fight. So the words of wisdom there from manager Terry Lawless, who I sometimes think suffers more than his boxer, certainly on the way to the ring. And churned out world champions almost like a conveyor belt from the gymnasium in Canning Town in London. Trainer Jimmy Tibbs there just grabbing the bottle. Water only, of course, permitted in corners. And Frank Black just giving him the makeup treatment, as they say. So popping back the gum shield. That's the only bit of defence above the waist the boxers allowed. Round 4. Scheduled for 15 rounds, the World Boxing Association version of the championship. And Witherspoon, 7 pounds heavier than Bruno. What big lads they are, aren't they, today? 16 and over 16 stones. It's incredible. And really, they're quite mobile for it. Certainly Bruno looks the part. Witherspoon always fights with his mouth open, Jim. That's not a question of tiredness like that. He's had a breathing problem for some time, I'm told. Open up again here, Bruno. Just don't want to see him punch himself out, eh?
Yeah, well, in the Bonecrusher fight, he punched himself out, he ran out of steam, but I think that was tenseness before the fight. I think that was burning out with nerves, but he doesn't seem overly nervous tonight. Quite the opposite, he seems very confident. This is good work.
Bruno's strength, in fact, is his strength. The man is a strong man, but Bruno usually it looks good more to his advantage, I would think, his physique. Remember, Witherspoon, this is the man that took Larry Holmes to a split decision. You had what was then a good Larry Holmes a few years ago. So this is a really remarkable performance early on in the fight from Bruno. Being confident, dictated, jabbing away with the left hand again there. I wondered when he'd get into that, get some points going. Judges, Japan, Panama, Venezuela. The referee doesn't score. Bruno keeps him on the end of that one, Jim. It's going to cause a bit of damage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good jab. I know, as I said earlier, that was part of the Bruno camp's plan. American fighters have trouble coping with good jabs, and Bruno has an excellent jab. There's a lot more fluency about his work tonight, too.
Well, I tell you, he's taking the play away from Witherspoon. There's no use him, Witherspoon, waving him on. He's already there.
Happiness is a cigar called Hamlet, the mild cigar.
G'day. When they invited me along to this private viewing, I thought I'd bring along my own supply of colonial culture. Now that's what I call a masterpiece. Who did this one, mate?
That's, Tunstall.
Reckon he must have been handcuffed when he painted it. Cripes. This one's not much better.
Actually, they're Jackson Pollocks.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, sport.
Foster's, the amber nectar.
The new Peugeot 309. The reality is even better than the dream. Peugeot, the lion goes from strength to strength.
Second out. Round 5.
Round 5. And for the cleaner punches, and more punches, Jim Bruno in front at this stage.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. Bruno's work has always been sharper than Witherspoon's. He's been landed more clean punches in target, so he's probably slightly in front.
A little bit of desperation stakes there when Witherspoon starts missing with punches like that. That's what good craftsmen in the trade would call silly punches.
If Witherspoon has taken Bruno lightly, he'll just be beginning to regret that now, because this has been a fair old pace right from the start, and he's going to have to be in shape to stay with Bruno.
Bruno, of course, hasn't got past 10 rounds. On a 10-round run points. He was stopped in the last round, the 10th, against Bonecrusher. And, of course, Witherspoon's proved himself over the 15-round course. Tony Tubbs, Larry Holmes. This is the round, Jim, I was saying, I wondered if he'd try and pinch what you fighters would call a rest. I don't mean obviously a total rest, but he looks as though he's not going to exert himself too much, Bruno.
Yeah, well, I heard Terry Lawless in the corner telling him to concentrate on the jab. Don't get drawn into a brawl, because that's what Witherspoon wants. So Frank has stood off a little bit more in this round and tried to pin him on the end of the jab. Witherspoon hasn't really done anything very effective in this round so far. So maybe Frank's plan's working.
Well, he's tried to show Witherspoon in this round that he's got the gift of the jab anyway. There it is again, almost playing postman's knock, the double up punch with the left hand there, Bruno. He always looks a bit distressed, Witherspoon, doesn't he? Heavy breathing.
Yeah, well, with the mouth open, it always looks as though he's tired. And that's a bit dangerous to get caught in the chin with your mouth open, but he's been doing it all his career then. He's been getting away with it fine.
Well, there was one time when the American trainer Slim Robertson really thought that Witherspoon could win in the first round. So that one's gone out the window. No, they're just using what's called an ice swirl there, so sort of a miniature, almost like a doll's house iron, and they keep it in the ice bucket there and just push the bruising away. So they must have a little swelling on the right eye there, Bruno. But they're experienced cornermen, they know what they're doing.
Second out. We're on the sixth.
Sixth round now. A lot of criticism here of Witherspoon's training at Basildon in Essex, but he claimed he'd been in camp in Ohio, solid for months, and didn't need to exert himself here. But I don't know, maybe the way he's going, he could eat himself out of being champion, putting on weight like that. Appealing to the referee with a look there, Witherspoon. Didn't make a meal of it. But I don't blame Bruno for roughing up a little bit. He wants to say, if you want it that way, you can have it. Long left hand as well, or a bit rough tactics are going my way. This does surprise me, because that normally is Witherspoon's game, the uncompromising stuff. Jim, the only reason Frank might tire, if he does, is with his own exertions, not the punches he's taking.
Yeah, that's a fact. Frank has stepped the pace all the way through. He dropped the pace in the previous round, the fifth round, and I think Witherspoon was quite pleased to let the pace die for a round or so. I think he's feeling the pace more than Bruno. You have to remember, if you are the man who's setting the pace in a fight, then you cope with it better. If he can keep Witherspoon under pressure, then Witherspoon should start to wilt before he does. But Frank has never been at this level before. That is always the big question.
Oh, he's getting saucy now. He jabs out and then turns it into a hook, that left hand. Definitely swinging a prayer coming in from Witherspoon. There's nothing classy about his work. And even it's an early morning there now, the sweat really bouncing off both fighters now. As we come up to the end of the sixth, and a really good start by the challenger. He's carrying the flag of the country very well on his shoulders at this stage. Well, what would they be saying over there in Witherspoon's corner, Jim? Could we even imagine what they're saying?
Well, I think they may be shocked. The trouble with the Americans is they honestly believe that they're the best at everything. They're better than everybody else. And I think they must be shocked, because I'm surprised myself at Bruno's performance so far. I'm surprised with his attitude, the way he's going about his work, and his actual boxing ability and the fluency he's found. So I think Witherspoon must be as surprised as I am, only he's in the worse shape than I am, because he has to deal with it.
Second out. Round 7.
So out for the 7th round. Jim Watt was rightly saying the fluency in Bruno's punches are quite remarkable. He was a little bit clockwork early on in his career. But he believes in himself now. Scored, as I said, against Jerry Kutsia. One punch can really turn around in this game. And when you've got a physique physique like that, you can fancy your luck with anybody, I should think. But that's the thing, Jim. He's taking some good shots, and he's not even blinking, let alone buckling.
Bruno hasn't flinched in the least. Witherspoon has banged them, which must be his best shots, and Bruno hasn't flinched at all. They've caught him a little bit high, fair enough. Even allowing for that, he hasn't flinched in the least.
Well, that's the old thing about sparring for an opening, that one. But it's Witherspoon, to my surprise, who seemed to running out of ideas, isn't he?
Yep, I expected a better all-round performer with Witherspoon. The only other time I've seen him was up in Birmingham, and he looked terrible that night. It was an on-title fight, obviously, he looked terrible. But he's not looking too good tonight either.
Well, he took a few cuts around the head there, Bruno. He could have done without. In the 7th. Oh, he just caught the side of the jaw. He absorbed that well, Bruno. But he looked as though he was in trouble, Jim.
Yep. Yeah, that's the first time Bruno's been in trouble. Those were good punches, but again, he still has his wits about him. His eyes are looking clear and he's still concentrating, but those were good punches.
Witherspoon got a swelling under the left eye. And now he's trying to take the heart out of Witherspoon in the last half minute. Having soaked up those punches well, he's trying to come back, Bruno. That's what it's all about now. Take the play away from the champion. What a right hand that is as we come up for the bell. And he still didn't make any difference, and he just turns away and looks at Witherspoon as if to say, well, you've hurt me, but I'm not going over. Jim, you've been in a corner like that with Terry Lawless and co many times. What sort of feeling now do you get from them when you're in there?
Well, I think it's just encouragement that's needed now. Frank's doing everything right. That was probably Frank's worst round so far, when you consider clean punches taken. He gave Witherspoon quite a few free shots at his jaw. He took the punches well. It was upset slightly in the middle of the round, but never badly shaken. But he can't afford to give Witherspoon any more free shots. And I think Terry will try and get him to tighten up, see if he can push Witherspoon back again, because Witherspoon's not half as good going back as we've seen in the early rounds. So I think Frank will have to try and dominate this round coming up, push Witherspoon back and take the sting out of him.
Round 8.
8th round. Second's a bit late getting out there in the American's corner. And it's been an easy fight for the referee to handle, the Venezuelan. Started off having to do a bit of wrestling, but it's all right now. It's cleaned up. Well, you never can tell with judges far away as Japan, Panama, Venezuela for this contest. But certainly Jim White and I have got Bruno ahead.
Yeah, Bruno's at least one round, possibly 2 rounds in front at the moment.
Yeah, I would actually give him more than that, Jim.
Well, some of the rounds, Bruno has been in top, then Witherspoon's coming back. That's the first big round Witherspoon's had, the 7th. But I'd say maybe about 2 rounds in front. I don't know that I would go any further than that.
So a minute gone in the 8th round. And it's all these years, at 18 years of age, then Bruno was ABA champion just across the road at Wembley. And he really is, those days he ran out of gas, but does he train now, and is it showing now? But the second half of the fight now is vital. We know Witherspoon stays. I assume Bruno does, but he's got to prove it. Sticking to him like a barnacle in close quarters there. Witherspoon is getting some successes. He had it in the 7th. But that's good the way that Bruno tries to come back, Jim. Tries to nullify the attack like that.
Yeah, Bruno's showing us a little bit of everything tonight. Guts, heart, skill, boxing ability, the whole thing. I'm just wondering, a couple of signs that Witherspoon might be just too much of a beast for Bruno. But as long as he keeps firing back after Witherspoon's onslaughts, then we can keep confidence in him.
Witherspoon tried to change the southpaw there, then changed his mind, changed the stance. Oh, I think they could see that one in the back of the hall, and Bruno didn't really see it coming. He tried to pull his head back and got caught with the left hook. Now this is the kind of war of attrition that I've seen Witherspoon use in the past. Can it succeed here? He's still got a lot of ground to make up on my card. So Bruno back to the corner with a bloodied nose, and I must say Jim Watt and I got a little splash of that on the way back, and there's just a little spot of rain in the air, I feel, Jim, as well here at Wembley Stadium. So there's the ice well. They leave that in the ice bucket, and then they just try to smooth that away. That's the easiest way to get them down. Not the kind of injury that would stop a contest. It would have to be a lot worse than that. Terry Lawless will be running out of voice, Jim, if it goes 15 rounds.
Yeah, well, he's going to have a lot of encouraging to do, because I get the impression that a lot of the snap had left Bruno's punches in the 8th round. It may be just that he dropped down a gear, but some of his punches were just arm punches. He didn't have that snap. So Frank could be doing with a big round, shall we say. The last 2 rounds have been a little bit rocky for him.
So into the 9th. And Witherspoon's punches have sometimes had the action of a shot putter, but they've still worked for him in the last 2. But I'm impressed the way Bruno has ridden the storm and tried to fight back right away, so that the champion doesn't get too confident. He's certainly already taken quite a few American judges. I thought really that Witherspoon was just a different league. So he's decided to back off now, Bruno. Jimmy, he might try and use the ring a little bit, but I agree with you. He's got to save a little bit of strength now. We said this at the start of the fight.
There's a long way to go. Witherspoon's done it before at this level. Frank hasn't. There still must be little doubts in Frank's mind. Can he do it at this level? So far, I've been totally proud of him, the way he's conducted himself, the way he's boxed so far. There's still a long time to go.
Oh, that right hand really right above the commentary position here. But he absorbed it well, Bruno. Didn't do any good, though, but he's not rocking with him. But he's piling in a lot now with Witherspoon. It's all the uncompromising stuff. Shaking his head there because he disagreed with that Witherspoon to the referee. And looked at him again. You're letting this guy get away with things. Not a good sign when the champion moans a little bit, Jim.
No, it's always encouraging when your opponent appeals to the referee, and Witherspoon has done that a few times. Bruno must be roughing him up a little bit more than he expected.
Constant now applause from the crowd, apart from the Bruno chants. Half a minute to go. The big men, this has been a really heavy pace, this. So he's just warning for pulling Witherspoon on there. Makes a change to see a British fighter warned for roughing up an American champion. So countdown for the end of this round. Waves to the crowd there, Witherspoon. I don't know whether he's conning himself or the crowd. But I think he's probably saying, I'm coming back into this fight, Jim.
Yeah, well, that was another good round for Witherspoon. In patches, Frank was very good too, but the main clean punches came from Witherspoon at the start of the round and again towards the end of the round.
Second bell. Round 10.
Round 10. And to remind you then, it's scheduled for 15, the World Boxing Association version of the Heavyweight Championship. And the winner goes on to fight Tony Tubbs from Cincinnati. Well, Bruno on my card ahead at the start, and I thought reasonably in front. And now Witherspoon coming in the second half of the fight. Now it's time to dig up the old cliche, Jim, about when the going gets tough, the tough get going, eh?
Yeah, well,
what it's all about, isn't it?
It's getting tough now. Frank is just throwing arm punches just now, just little pushes with the arms. He's not getting his shoulders behind the punch. He'd be better getting Witherspoon at full range where he could get some leverage into his punches.
The newspaper predictions today, well, I think a little bit over the top. Expecting Bruno to knock this man out fairly early, that was really asking a bit too much. But a large section of writers did tip Bruno. And they also have the inalienable right to be wrong, I suppose. So we're midway through the 10th. And the bruises of battle are beginning to show now. They're both swollen around the eyes.
It's been a cracking fight all the way through. There's never been a let-up. But kind of even rounds now. Nobody's really getting to grips with it the last couple of rounds.
See that he's complaining to the referee that he's pulling his head on. Well, this is a fierce one, this round. You see, they're just running out of a bit of steam now, so they've got to stand toe-to-toe anyway. They'll probably pull it together. If this fight goes 15, they'll start again from about the 13th, trying to get some movement going, but right now they've got to anchor their feet to the ground. And with this bumping and boring with the heads, Jim, I'm surprised that neither fighter's cut. What a fight. They're banging away inside there. They're about, 4 feet from Jim Watt and I now, and I tell you, it's rough in there. What a good fight. Bruno standing and trading.
You can't top a Grolsch Lager.
We're here to test the astonishing acceleration of the new Renault 5 GT Turbo. And there we have it. There'll be another commercial along in a minute. Meanwhile, here is some music. The Renault 5 GT Turbo. What's yours called?
round 11, Witherspoon out early for work, and it's unknown territory now for Bruno. He's never been beyond the 10th round, and that was only in one contest against Philip Brown of America, who really wasn't in Witherspoon's class. I just wish the judges tonight were a little bit closer geographically to this country than they are. Like Panama, Japan, Venezuela have no idea, Jim, how they're going to view a fight at all.
Yeah, they probably like the American style, you know, the wide swings, you know, the powerful punches rather than Bruno's snappy little jabs. But questions were being asked about Bruno's chin and whether or not he was world class. Well, he certainly answered those questions in style tonight. It's been a tremendous performance.
Well, he's the legitimate #1 challenger now, having beaten Couture, who was the #1. A lot of arguing and moaning seems to be going on there somewhere. As I said earlier, Witherspoon always looks as though he's a bit distressed. Nobody knows the troubles he's seen when he's fighting. But durability, I haven't seen a heavyweight soak up like he does and keeps going. And for a man who admitted that he was hot smoking for a while and in fact almost had the championship stripped from him but was fined instead and took a rehabilitation course, he talks openly about it now, so credit him with that. Well, this is the first mauling round we've had, really.
Yeah, they're really showing signs of tiredness now. Witherspoon with the old head will probably do this for the first 2 minutes, then try to go to work in the last minute. Because this is where a little bit of experience comes in, steal around in the last minute.
Oh, a good left hook there by Bruno. That's the first time I've seen Witherspoon visibly shake there. But the Dunn were just following that up quickly. His right eye's closing a bit, Jim, Bruno, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a fair bit of swelling around that, yeah.
Well, they've got to save themselves for the home stretch by the look of it. Oh, both landed their best shots together there. And it's Bruno who was hurt the most, I would think. He's got to try and grab and get his way out of trouble here. Off on the top of the head, the left hook. He's starting to go to pieces in the corner. And he's breaking up a bit now. And he's hitting him while he's down. He's got to get him up. And the towel has come in from Terry Lawless's corner in the 11th round, towards the end of the 11th round. And he broke up in a similar way, Jim, than he did with Bonecrusher Smith. He was fighting so well that he got caught in a neutral corner, started to go, and at that point, as you say, the experience of the champion showed. He completely took over. But I didn't like the punches at all on the... while he was down, the referee seemed to let him get away with that, but in fact the fight was over anyway, really, because Lawless had that compassionate act with the towel.
Perez, those were tremendous punches, bang on the chin. Frank did well to keep on his feet for the first 3 or 4 of them. They were tremendous punches. Frank gave everything he had, and as strange as it happened in the only quiet round in the fight.
So a disappointment there from Mrs. Bruno, the first time that she's attended a fight and saw her son fighting so well, and then it went against him. So, Jim, let's have a look at the replay now. You see, that was the big looping right hand. That's a great exchange of punches there. Then that was the one that we called as he did that. We knew that Bruno was shaken to his boots there. Then he did it again and again. And then he comes back and tries to hang on there. He's looking, look there, you see, saying, look, how do I get out of this? And he can't just get this man away from him. And he's thrown now into Witherspoon's corner. And he tries to back off there. He just... His faculties are not quite with him there, Bruno, and there he goes, tumbling back. So the referee, I think, has made up his mind. Certainly manager Terry Lawless has at that stage. On the top of the head, the final punch, really. Now, he's allowed him to get away with that one, which surprised me, and just, well, we would call a tap, but there was no need for it. And at that point, the towel was in. Jim?
Yeah, well, the right hand started the troubles. It was a wide right hand. There's the left hook. Pull it up. Now Bruno's in bad trouble here. This is where a little bit of experience was needed. Bruno either needed to take a count or to grab a hold of Witherspoon, but he didn't have the experience to do that. But nonetheless, a tremendous performance from Bruno.
Champion, were you surprised at the tough fight that Bruno was giving you early on?
No, like I said earlier, that he was a tough opponent. I wasn't taking him lightly. I watched films of him and he knocking everybody out. And I did not take him lightly. I trained hard and came in here to anticipating a hard fight. And he's a good fighter.
So, did you resent the criticism that the press here was saying you weren't training that well?
No, they expected me to get upset, but I wasn't. I was geared for the fight. I didn't care what the press do. I'm all right. I don't care. I come in and fight him like it was a war, and I won.
Timmy, were you worried early on? He boxed so well. Were you worried that he wasn't going to fade away, that you would catch him? I mean, he got off to a good start, yeah. Bruno. Were you concerned about that? I can come back. I'm a great champion. I'm never going to quit. I'm a Capricorn like Ali, Frazier, all the great fighters, and I'm not going to quit.
I thought Bruno fought one hell of a fight. I thought he was very good. He proved himself worthy. He did England proud, and I would like to see Bruno fight again.
So he can come again even in your series that you're running. You
Absolutely.
Never know.
At the end of the Ultimate Championship, they got 2 more options to fight. Bruno can certainly be one of them because he certainly acquitted himself very well. And I'm just very happy to see such a great event and to see the millions of fans that are seen around the world and the great fans here in Wembley Stadium. It's been wonderful here in England. I'm certainly going to come back. It's going to be exciting. And ITV, roll, baby. You got number 1.
And as Frank Bruno goes back to the dressing room with those encouraging words from the American promoter Don King that he could still be involved in the series to find the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, we'll take a short break, and after it, we'll be talking to Frank Bruno.
Is that a genuine Holston pills you got there, Cecil, where the sugar turns to alcohol?
This is strictly legitimate.
Well, how about swapping it for this illegitimate one?
You put your nose in my business and I'll break it off for you.
Cecil, you old toad, here's 2 bottles for your 1 Holston pill.
What, should I take that as a no, then?
A Holston Pills production. Announcing the launch of a new ferry company that'll give the others a run for their money. You'll recognize the name, but not the ships. Sea Link is a private company now, and we're changing everything from food to bars to duty-free. There are even lounges specially for motorists. We've always been the biggest. Now we intend to be the best. The new privately owned Sea Link, where fleets ahead.
Welcome back to Wembley Stadium. We're still trying to get an interview with Frank Bruno. That's not possible at the moment, but let's hear now from Jim Rosenthal. He's in that dressing room area.
Well, Dickie, chaotic scenes really outside Frank Bruno's dressing room. Frank and Terry Lawless are giving no interviews, but they have issued a statement. Terry Lawless saying he was proud of the way Frank Bruno fought. He let nobody down at all. And Frank saying he was a little bit bruised around the face, but he thinks Witherspoon will go home with great respect for him. Just a point about the fight. The referee, in fact, stopped the fight before the towel fluttered in towards the end of the fight, so the official verdict is the referee stopped the contest. One reason, I believe, why Frank Bruno isn't going to give any interviews until Monday at the earliest, I think 1 or 2 of those punches of Tim Witherspoon had a real effect, and I believe he's going to have to go for an X-ray on a possible fractured jaw.
Well, Jim, despite that defeat, I think we saw a new and a more mature Frank Bruno tonight.
Yeah, I really feel Bruno answered a lot of questions tonight. I thought he matched Witherspoon in every department. Round about the 7th or 8th round, there were signs that Witherspoon may just be too much of a beast for Frank. And that is actually what happened in the end. He just had too much grit, too much strength for Frank.
And perhaps too much stamina, or not enough stamina for Bruno.
Yeah, well, just a little bit too much of that. See, Witherspoon has been there so often in the past. Frank has never been at that level before, never had to dig deep into himself like that. He had to do it tonight, but unfortunately he couldn't match Witherspoon in that department.
Jim, where do you think Bruno goes from here?
Well, Bruno actually comes out of this defeat with more credit than all of his wins put together. It's a strange situation. Bruno has proved that he is championship quality. I mean, for 7 or 8 rounds, nobody knew who was going to win this fight tonight. So Bruno has proved a lot tonight. All he needs is back to the drawing board, get to work a little bit, maybe in stamina or whatever, I don't know. But he has proved he is a genuine contender, and he can only go forward from here.
And Don King has said he still has a chance. Jim, thank you very much indeed. So with that win, then, Tim Witherspoon takes a very definite step towards the undisputed world heavyweight title. Also in contention, you have Trevor Berbick. Trevor is the Canadian WBC title holder at 33, and with a win over a declining Ali to his credit, he is the surprise package of the series. It was his shock win over Pinklon Thomas, the reigning champion, back in March, that put him among the front runners. But Thomas is still in the series with a chance despite this points defeat.
Oh, he's laying him well there, but he's leaving him sort of open, Thomas, and Berbick knows it. Looking good again here, Berbick.
Michael Spinks is the holder of the IBF title. He hung on grimly to that championship in April against Larry Holmes. A closer call, perhaps, than when winning it in their first encounter.
Oh, what a start by Mike Spinks.
Tony Tubbs, who lost to Tim Witherspoon in January, was awarded a rematch, but he withdrew in favour of Bruno. Tubbs is still in the reckoning, though, despite this defeat.
It's an exceptionally fast start for a heavyweight championship fight, this, and there's a good trading round, this.
And now Mike Tyson, the unbeaten 20-year-old sensation from New York, has burst into the series. He's referred to as a Black Marciano. This win over Reggie Gross shows you why.
Square on, hooking all the time. He really is an exciting fighter. Going to hit this fellow like a punch bag at this stage, saying, hey, how about opening up and fighting? And he is, Gross. He's answered the call. Might be a mistake. He's ducking and diving a little bit, Tyson. He's doing well, but he's getting caught at the same time. Oh, that's it. I think that could be good night all. What a left hook there.
And this is how the series is planned to progress. On the 6th of September in Las Vegas, Michael Spinks takes on the European champion Stefan Tangstad. In either October or November, Trevor...
Welcome to New York City, to Manhattan, and to Madison Square Garden, famous fighting center for the latest chapter in the series of fights to find one heavyweight champion of the world. Tim Witherspoon defends his World Boxing Association crown against James Bonecrusher Smith, and the winner has the dubious privilege of facing the awesome Mike Tyson in March. Now, we've had an astonishing week here of boxing politics, all sorts of threats, accusations, and public bloodletting. But at the end of it all, I'm delighted to say the fight goes on for the heavyweight championship of the world. For the full story, I suppose, you have to go back to January of this year, to Atlanta, Georgia, when Witherspoon and Tony Tubbs met for the WBA crown. It was a tedious fight. We had to wait until the 15th round for the decision.
Judge Edward Wood scores the fight 144-141 for the winner and new heavyweight.
Yes, Witherspoon's got it, but what a close verdict that is.
But drug tests revealed traces of marijuana. Witherspoon was ordered to meet Tubbs again.
I really looked at and analyzed, said I was wrong, and I learned that America, they can do anything they want to do to you. Abide by the rules and just try to make it in life the best way you can.
Before that Tubbs rematch, Witherspoon came to Wembley to face Frank Bruno in July.
Off on the top of the head, the left hook. He's starting to go to pieces in the corner, and he's breaking up a bit now. He's hitting him while he's down. He's got to get him up. And the towel has come in from Terry Lawless's corner in the 11th round, towards the end of the 11th round.
So now the rematch loomed with Tony Tubbs, who suddenly appeared to lose interest in the fight. Tubbs said he'd hurt his shoulder. Rubbish, bellowed promoter Don King. Tubbs just wants a few dollars more.
So we know that this is nothing but a scheme with this fake shoulder injury that now Tubbs is trying to use at the last resort after his extortive measures had failed him.
So Tubbs was out. Bonecrusher Smith came in. Although it's a late call, Smith is in good shape. He'd been preparing for another fight. Like Witherspoon, Bonecrusher's knocked out Frank Bruno. He's fought for the world title before. It was 2 years ago in Las Vegas. But Bonecrusher's brave challenge for the IBF crown was ended in the 12th round by Larry Holmes.
He really does look a sad and gory sight now, Smith, and I really would hope the referee would get in here.
This year, Bonecrusher has bounced back. He's won his last 3 fights, including a very impressive one-round stoppage of the respected Mike Weaver. But Bonecrusher's late appearance brought in the lawyers as Witherspoon wondered whether he had to fight at all. After all, why jeopardize a guaranteed $1 million payday against Mike Tyson to face a puncher like Bonecrusher Smith? The fight was on, it was off, it was on again. Barely 24 hours ago, Witherspoon's lawyer said the champion would be fighting. Now then, Jim Watt, as a former champion of the world, you've been watching this bizarre situation really closely here all week. Is Witherspoon going to be affected?
I don't think Witherspoon will be affected in the least. I don't really think he was serious about pulling out of the fight. Far too much money kicking around the heavyweight scene at the moment for him to risk being stripped of his title. I think his mind has always been on tonight's fight, and I think his mind will be right tonight.
The two have met before, Witherspoon and Bonecrusher, June last year, I think it was, and Witherspoon won comfortably on points. Do you think the same's going to happen tonight?
Well, Smith has the added incentive of a world title at stake tonight, and the prospect of making an awful lot of money. I think that we can expect a career best performance from Smith, but I still expect Witherspoon to come out on top.
Right, Jim Watt, thank you very much indeed. Both of us now going to make our way inside the garden to join our commentator, who's already at ringside, and that of course is Reg Guttridge.
So there's the challenger, face well known to us in London, isn't it? And certainly to Frank Bruno. James Bonecrusher Smith from Magnolia in North Carolina. 16 stone, 4.5. And let's face it, what a chance this could be for Bonecrusher at 31, getting $230,000. And there's the rundown then, the tail of the tape. Tim Witherspoon is 29 a couple of days after Boxing Day. And Bonecrusher, as you can see, just an inch taller, but a bit lighter. So there it is, seeing is believing. The entry then of terrible Tim Witherspoon. We wondered whether he might bolt on the way from the dressing room to the ringside after all the shenanigans that we've had here this week. Is it on? Is it off? But Tim Witherspoon said, I'm not talking, but I'm going to fight. So there you are then. He's upped his money to $300,000 now, Witherspoon, with this dispute with Carl King, his manager and promoter, Don King. And the Bonecrusher Smith is getting $230,000, quite a bonus for him. But if Bonecrusher could win, can you imagine? He's in the $1 million class to go on to fight Mike Tyson, who, of course, here at the old mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden in New York. He's here to see this fight. I call that the Bonecrusher's fight face because he's a very mild-mannered man. In fact, he's a college student, and his wife is a teacher. So stay with us then, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes with the action.
And now, my good friends, introducing the principals. First, in the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with the white trim. He tipped in at 228.5 pounds. This gentleman has 18 wins, 5 losses with 13 knockouts. He is a native of Magnolia, North Carolina, but fighting out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. He is ranked number 9 by the World Boxing Association. Ladies and gentlemen, here is James Bonecrusher Smith. And his opponent in the red corner, wearing the white trunks with the black lettering. He weighed in at 233.5 pounds. This young man has 25 wins, only 2 losses with 17 knockouts. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen, here is the World Boxing Association heavyweight
So we're underway then, and the final words from the New York referee, Louis Barrera, who will not score.
Robbie punch, and he knocked down, go to the perimeter corner and stay there until I tell him to come out. The 3 knockdown rule is on. Shake hand when the best out to my fight and good luck.
So the final prayer there from champion Witherspoon. And what a strong man this is, Bonecrusher Smith. Short on finesse, but a powerful puncher as we come out for the opening round then. And bingo, Bonecrusher Smith going to take his chance. Remember, this is a return fight. Witherspoon had to go 12 rounds to defeat this fellow for the North American boxing title 18 months ago. Bonecrusher stopped Mike Weaver in 1 round. Is he going to try and do it again? He's hurt Witherspoon in the opening round now. And Witherspoon has never been on the deck as a pro and only once as an amateur. Oh, and he caught Bonecrusher coming in there. He paid for that one. What an explosive start. Well, for a fight that was never going to happen, in the first few seconds we've seen enough, Jim.
Well, Bonecrusher has nothing to lose, everything to gain, and that's the way he's looked at it, as you can see here. He's hoping for a quick knockout. Oh, yep. Witherspoon's legs have gone there. That was a good shot from Bonecrusher. Caught him bang on the chin. Witherspoon's in a bit of trouble here.
One of the great turnarounds of all time, this is going to be. The substitute who looks like spoiling the script. The man who can see at least $1 million coming his way and not afraid of fighting Mike Tyson. And it looks as though Witherspoon's approach to this fight's all wrong. First time a count as a pro, he's going to get the mandatory 8 count. Minute 39 to go in the opening round. And I tell you, can Witherspoon survive the round, let alone the fight? His second time down, if he goes down 3 times in this round, it's automatically stopped under WBA regulations. The full 8 count. This man throwing away a fortune, hanging out the chin against at least one of the most powerful men in the game, if not one of the most skillful, but it doesn't seem to matter in the heavyweight division. And he's still got time, over a minute to go in the round. It's a wonder Witherspoon can cope, not having been on the floor before this. And now it's all over! With 49 seconds to go in the opening round. 3 knockdowns automatically. And that has got to be one of the most sensational turnabouts. The man who literally came from nowhere and stopped the champion. And in fact, murdered him, Jim.
Well, we thought Tyson caused an upset last month with Burdick, but nothing like this one. Nobody gave Bonecrusher Smith a chance, but he came out with the biggest chance of his life, and he knew it. He acted like he wanted the title. I don't know what was in Witherspoon's mind, but he didn't seem up for the fight. Maybe he thought it was going to be as easy a bout as they had last time. But Bonecrusher Smith had different ideas. He never left Witherspoon alone in the 3 knockdowns. I don't really think Witherspoon was in serious trouble. His eyes look nice and clear, but he's been on the floor 3 times, and the rules say he's lost his title.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim, the cynics have got something there to worry about. It's a game straight, all right, isn't it? So let's have a look at this in replay now. I'm not sure whether this was the first knockdown. I assume it was, yes. The right hand comes in from Bonecrusher, and he's on the way down there, and he pulls away Bonecrusher. He doesn't follow it up immediately. 16 stone, 4.5, remember, Bonecrusher, looking from a different angle, Jim.
Well, Bonecrusher kept Witherspoon under pressure all the way through, never gave him a chance to get any power into his punches. Over he goes there.
And really lucky not to go right out of the ring there, Tim Witherspoon. The ropes weren't joined together, so he didn't have much chance. This man now has really had 3 on the turn. The man who you will recall knocked out Frank Bruno in the last round, the 10th round at Wembley, when he was being beaten. So let's have yet another replay of that. And I tell you, Witherspoon want to see these 2 often. I have to say, Jim, his mind must have been all at sea when he came into this ring.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine it was, Reg. But even when he was over, it didn't seem... His eyes didn't look to be in serious trouble. They looked clear. He looked as though his wits were about him. But he just couldn't seem to keep his feet.
See, that was the final one, and that is where the referee now has to stop it. And in any case, he was right, whether it was 3 knockdowns or not.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the 3 knockdown rule in effect, referee Luis Rivera stops this bout at 2 minutes and 12 seconds of the first round. And the winner and the brand new World Boxing Association heavyweight champion, James Bonecrusher Smith.
So the man quite rightly milking every bit of applause he can from the Mecca at Madison Square Garden. And you've really got to hand it to him. He came out there to take chances, and Witherspoon just was not prepared. Only half a pound lighter Witherspoon than when he fought Bruno, but Jim Watt and I really thought he looked slimmer. We were deceived by the weight. Exactly what happened there. I mean, I know you hit the other guy, but you think he just wasn't prepared for you to come out firing like that?
I don't think Tim Witherspoon was ready. He fought me a year and a half ago, and he dominated the fight. He hit with some hard shots, but he still couldn't knock me off my feet, and he won a unanimous decision. But I wanted to pay him back. I knew he wasn't concentrating on the fight, and I wanted to use all that to my advantage.
Can you believe it yet that you're champion of the world, Bonecrusher? What about the Mike Tyson fight now coming up, the real money?
We're going to fight Mike Tyson in March, I think, and it's going to be a good fight. But he really hadn't been hit yet. He hadn't been hit. So we can't compare Mike Tyson with a guy like Tim Witherspoon. Tim Witherspoon was a great champion. I hit him with some hard shots, and I've been in with a lot of good fighters.
Yeah, I know.
And I've hurt some, and I knocked a lot of them out. And I'm ready for Mike Tyson.
Well, you did it to our man in England, Frank Bruno. Now you've done it to Witherspoon. Who knows, you might do it with Mike Tyson, the way things are going.
I think so. I'm on a roll right now, and I feel real good.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
Well, what a night then for the Bonecrusher. Remember, he only came in at 5 days' notice, but now Bonecrusher Smith is the heavyweight champion of the world. Next, though, he's got to face Mike Tyson, and we'll be talking to Mike straight after the break.
I'm going to hold on to the title for a great deal of time.
And I think your advisors feel that Bonecrusher Smith might suit you just a little bit better than Tim Witherspoon.
I'm so satisfied that he won. It's going to be a tremendous fight against 2 brutal punches, and I think it's going to sell the house out, and everybody's going to have a tremendous evening on March 7th.
I'm sure it will, and we're going to look forward to seeing it on ITV, Mike. Just a word about Frank Bruno, a fellow I think you know back in Britain, and everyone's wondering if at some stage you two might get it together.
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Frank for a long time. And, Frank is a friend of mine. We knew each other for a long time, very long time. And I hope everything's the best for him. And I would love to have, if the negotiation is right, to get a fight for both of us. It would be tremendous for international affairs.
Would be. You talk about international affairs there. I know your advisors, they want to take you around the world, I think, and have you fight all over the place. Would you like to come to Britain?
Most definitely. I would love to go to Britain. I'm begging them every day to go.
Hey, we'd love to see you there. I know you're a busy man. Thanks for taking time out to talk to us, Mike. Thank you very much indeed. Okay then, so away goes Mike Tyson, waiting for the winner. That is James Bonecrusher Smith, a fight you can see here on ITV. We have more heavyweight action for you now. The heavyweights coming up.
And
very bravura performance. Well, that's his debut at the Garden, and I have a hunch he'll be back. If the announcer's job in part is to get the crowd into the fight, he's done it. He's certainly done it. Larry Holmes trying to psych out Mike Weaver here as the referee Harold Allen is giving their instructions. The mandatory 8 count is in effect. The 3 knockdown rule has been waived. That's at the discretion of the referee. He can keep getting knocked down or he can stop it after 1. You can look for Mike Weaver to go out very fast in this fight. You mean go out fast or be knocked out fast? Might be both. Weaver in the red trunks is pressing Holmes. Round 1, 15-round bout. Holmes has that very hard left jab. Larry up on his feet, a la a young Muhammad Ali. Larry outreaches his man by a couple of inches, keeping him off with that jab. Weaver is trying to get in close. Weaver has a pretty good knockout record. Walking straight at him. Mike Weaver has scored 14 knockouts. However, he is leaving the left side of his jaw quite exposed, dropping that left hand down. Holmes jabs about 50% of them getting in there. Weaver taking the jab, and they are rather hard, very hard now. That was a jab that knocked out Acacio in his last title defense. Something I never saw before or even heard of. You may never see it again. And then again you may. Weaver is getting $50,000 for this fight, which is 10 times greater than his biggest previous purse. A light tap to the body is Weaver's first punch of the fight. And still the jabs come from the champion, Larry Holmes, WBC champion. About a minute to go in round 1. What Holmes is really saying by his action here is that he's just not going to take any chances of walking into a punch. He's going to size his man up before he goes to work on him. Seriously. He's warming up too. He's got Cole standing there too. All he has to do is keep jabbing. Larry got around to using the right hand for a change. Good hook to the body by Weaver. He's in there to fight. Makes the champion open up. Oh, these are hard jabs. Reminiscent of Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis. Bell ending round 1. Let's join our host, Len Berman.
Thank you, Don. More sports action. Heavyweight Championship of Tennis. Wimbledon starting Monday here on HBO, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock Central Time. Haywood Hale Bruin the first week, Vic Braid in the second week. Highlights of the early rounds, followed by in-depth coverage of the men's and women's quarter and semifinal matches. Wimbledon starts Monday here on HBO. You know, Mike Weaver started boxing in the Marines. It turns out he got into a fight with a guy at the jukebox over a tune. He punched the guy out. It turns out the guy he punched out was the camp champion in the Marines. Immediately, Weaver was recruited for the boxing team. The rest is history. Back to you, Don.
Holmes is risking a $3 million purse here, Don. It's amazing. For no money at all. He is signed up to fight Shavers in the fall. His purse will be $3 million. Should he, by some fluke, anything happen here, could throw $3 million without a penny in return for it. Well, it could happen. He could get cut. You never can tell. He might run into a punch. Countering there by the champion after Weaver landed a good one. Weaver is trying to fight, but Holmes is just too good with that jab. If you notice, Weaver has his gloves open, Don, and Holmes' corner complained between rounds about the fact that he's been fighting with those gloves open. Of course, there's a danger of a cut when he does that. Right. Jab goes right by the guard. Oh, now the 1-2. Holmes may be ready to end it. So he's come down off his toes, and he's flat-footed, and he looks like he feels he has Weaver measured and that he can punch now. Holmes waves Weaver in at him after that punch. Weaver edges in slowly. Weaver's a little over muscled. That was a pretty good punch for the challenger, or by the challenger. Swinging away with that left hand. Good body punch there. The body by Weaver. Make the champion think a little bit. Weaver making a contest of it now. Not winning, but making a contest. Head and shoulders, he thinks rather well. He's not that easy of a target, Holmes is finding right now. Holmes seems to be bothered by his belt line. They may be a little loose. That he's moving his hand toward them. Holmes putting more power in his jab. Weaver hasn't got much defense against that left hand. And now the rights are starting to come. Weaver fights back hard. Gamely. Tries to challenge the champion out into the center. And brings up a quiet crowd yelling. Holmes' ostensible purpose in taking this fight was to help win the people over, but the bell ending round two, at least Weaver was winning the people over there. Yeah, Weaver's staying in. And I think a lot of that is in credit to Ray Barnes, his trainer. He's one of the best trainers in boxing today. You know, this is an opportunity of a lifetime for a young man, and he's going to make the most of it. It looks like he's got himself keyed up, you know, to go out on his cross. He's going to give whatever he has to give. Larry, when you figure the number of fighters there have been since the days, if you pardon the expression, the days of Jim Figg, and the small number who actually have fought for the heavyweight championship, Weaver is, you know, he's honored. Well, you know, right now, of all the people in the world, there's only one that has a chance to take the title away from the champion. And he's sitting right here. He's with us tonight. And there he is, Mike Weaver. Larry, Holmes does not sit down between rounds. Not so far. Here is round 3, with Holmes winning the first 2 rounds, mainly because of his left jab and good combination. But Weaver looked a little better in round 2. And he's fighting a bit more confidently and is coming in a little faster at Holmes. You know, from Holmes' point of view, I don't think he can give a chance for this fighter to build up his confidence. He should be taking charge. He hasn't discouraged. Now Weaver is going the jab, the 1-2, a hook to the body, all in a row. Holmes comes back with the jab. I think that speaks to what I was just saying. All of a sudden, he thinks he can fight this guy. He may be wrong, but he thinks he can. Holmes talked to him. Weaver didn't even listen. He just fired back and scored. The challenger has made a fight out of it. He is not Jean-Pierre Koopman by any means. He's got a very good left hand. Well, Weaver is forcing Holmes to back up. Say to yourself about this point, Larry and Ryan, gee, maybe I should have picked the challenger, you know, just for fun, and maybe he might win. Who would remember if you picked the champion? Who'd believe you? The champion still has a snappy left jab. Yes, he has. There it is. Again. And again. Well, Weaver keeps pouring in. Good countering jabs by Holmes. A little bit more than a minute to go here in round 3. Well, I give Mike Weaver credit. He's carrying the fight to the champion. Even though nobody had given him a chance to win. He's moving in. Again, the remaining seconds of round 3. Harold Allen, the referee, having little to do. There are no clinches as Weaver comes up the champion again. And the crowd, many of them rooting now for the underdog. That's Mike Weaver. Making the champion miss. A little bit low, that hook. Ending round 3. Well, Holmes had some bad intentions in those punches in the last minute and a half of that here. Before the other guy gets too many ideas and gets too brave and fights beyond his capabilities. And we have to remember, let's take a look at a rerun here. There's a left hand high in the head of Weaver, which probably was the best punch of the fight so far for Holmes. But Weaver stays right with him and comes back and grazes him with a right hand, catches a straight right that didn't have a lot of power because Holmes was moving backwards. But I think Holmes is getting a little angry. He's making about 3 cents a round here and wants to get out. He's done better at other times. Coming up to round 4 now. Picture of Mike Weaver. Here's Larry Holmes. Larry looks as though he's going to try to end it here. Then he looked like that in the last round. The crowd now, incidentally, is 14,136, which is bigger than we expected. Very good. And probably will avoid the promoter, Don King, from taking a loss. If he hasn't made a profit, he hasn't had a loss. He's got a good house. We have profited, certainly. We have seen some good boxing so far. Holmes putting his man down with that jab. Weaver taking the punches and fighting back hard with a counter. He's going after Holmes' body and bringing in the right at the same time. And if nothing else, Mike Weaver is bothering Larry Holmes. Holmes is hitting him with that shots, and Weaver keeps coming in. Not only that, Holmes, who outweighs him 13 pounds, and Weaver is forcing the issue. 3-4 good body punches by Weaver. Larry has been complaining about this low hitting, and I think he just doesn't like getting into the breadbasket. Holmes putting everything in his punches now. Maybe with frustration, he's thinking, what is this? I should be back in my dressing room by now. The party should have started. Holmes all over him, uppercut, twice, left, everything. Weaver is really getting right down the rope, so he doesn't have to down. There's a minute and a half still to go in this round. Plenty of time for the knockout. Weaver is still fighting back. He's trading with the champion, taking the play away from him. Weaver coming back from that lathering that he took. Holmes is gathering his foot. He might have punched Holmes out. I think a little bit there. Well, he may have punched himself out. He's relaxing in there, trying to rest his hand. And Weaver is at him. Oh, we have a fight. But Holmes has taken a big round for Mike Weaver. Half a minute to go in the round. He's giving Holmes all sorts of trouble. Holmes looks tired. He looks very tired. They both look tired. Yes, they do. Weaver is reaching Holmes with that left hook. Weaver is winning the round. The challenger is winning the round. There's the bell. Unbelievable. Mike Weaver is the fight. A fantastic. And Larry Holmes finally sits down. Larry Holmes sits down for the first time, and he is a tired young man. And probably very confused as well, Don. Pardon? Probably very confused. Let's take a look at the action here. Here's Holmes landing punches earlier in the round, and it seemed like he was on his way to knocking out Weaver. But Weaver apparently was sliding and slipping with some of those punches and not catching their full power, which enabled him to come back late. They've thrown an awful lot of water on the champion. Yeah, he's trying to revive him. That was a big round for Weaver. I want to say, you know that Weaver has been knocked out, not by one Bobic, but by two Bobics. I think one was a decision, Larry. No, he was knocked out by both Bobics, I believe. I could be wrong. And here they are, and here he is taking the heavyweight champion of the world. Larry Holmes is actually running away now. Mike Weaver trailing him. The tide really, surprisingly, has turned here. Mike Weaver has taken charge of the fight, at least for now. And he's got Larry Holmes on a bicycle, defending himself. Where Holmes was so confident not too long ago. Holmes still fighting back, but the jab doesn't get in there. Now it's jabbing Weaver. The crowd yells Weaver. Holmes not too sharp with his punches. Makes that right again. Well, anyhow, he's got Holmes off balance, at least mentally. Now he's going to the body. I'm talking about Weaver. Holmes is hurt and he's tired. Good right hand by the champion. Yeah, but when he throws out, he takes something out of himself, though. Another good right hand. Weaver just won't get down from him. He will not back away, Weaver. Good right hand by Weaver there. And he's got the champion covering up on the rope. And Weaver is smart in there. He doesn't punch himself out. He's looking for the good shot. And there it is. He is Holmes' record is absolutely controlling the action in this fight at this point. Holmes drops his arms. They may be tired. Weaver's still the aggressor. Weaver hot-shotting him. And Holmes defending himself. Still to the body. Smart. Weaver's a smart fighter, no question about it. Half a minute to go in the round, a long round. Again, the crowd is chanting for the challenger. Holmes being raked on the rope. Holmes is bothered. He's not the confident champion he was a short time ago. Only 2 rounds ago. That one almost sent him down. Holmes has never lost a fight. The round is almost over. 2 seconds left. A big round for Mike Weaver. Very big round for Mike Weaver. Holmes is all big tired in his corner. I think Larry Holmes is in real trouble here. He may not be in the greatest condition. I'm sure he's confused. They must be. Is off. It's hard to imagine what's running through his mind right now. There has to be some kind of panic going on there.
Fighting in the corner with the rope-a-dope is totally uncharacteristic of his style. They're pouring water on him, actually hosing him down. And I think some confusion is set in there. His manager, Teddy, is talking to him, and he's shaking his head. They have to get their signals straight and say, okay, let's start from here. There's 10 more rounds to go. Let's win this fight. He's crying for water. He wants to drink. And they'd be dehydrated. If this keeps up, Muhammad Ali will not retire. Well, I'll tell you, Larry Holmes took this fight, he said, to impress the people that he's going to be a great champion, but Holmes was out in the south turning out that way, to put it mildly and charitably. He just landed a good right at the beginning of the round. Holmes always gets off well in the beginning of the round. It's the end of the round where he's bothered. Yes, he gets tired. Weaver sees his chance. He's the championship. Weaver is calm about it. He's not getting excited. He's not throwing wild punches. He's picking a spot, walking forward. I think Holmes do the running. Holmes has gone back to square one, it seems. He's decided, well, I better start over and dance, get myself together and try to get control in that way. Weaver must be getting points for being the aggressor at this point. 2 minutes left in the round. Weaver trying to get that good right hand in there, and Holmes knows it. Follow up right after the left. May be backing up, but he's scoring fairly well in this round. Weaver has not been able to get at him. There he got at him. Oh, a tough body shot by Weaver. Weaver is hitting hard. It must be discouraging for Larry Holmes. In the first 3 rounds, he hit Mike Weaver with everything. And here is Mike coming at him in the 6th. The 15-round bout if it goes the limit. Goes the limit. Somebody's going to be awfully tired at the end. Over anxious, Mike Weaver. Got that jab going in on Holmes. Holmes is stuck trying for a knockout now. He's just going back and then try to outpoint him and take the knockout if it comes, he hopes. Weaver has Holmes defending himself. Weaver is controlling the ring. He's out jabbing the champion, too. More of those rallies and Holmes will be very tired. There's the bell. Now let's go to our host, Len Berman.
Don, a reminder of upcoming programming here on HBO. In addition to a World Heavyweight Championship fight, a world television premiere, The Seekers, July 8th, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central. Starring Randolph Mansu, George Hamilton, Brian Keith, Robert Reed, Barbara Rush, Book 3 of John Jake's runaway best-selling series on the Kent Family Chronicle. A world television premiere on HBO. You know, Mike Weaver said he saw the movie Rocky 10 times. He always thought how wonderful if he got a chance like that. He's getting his chance. Is this the next Apollo Creed? Maybe a real-life Rocky developing here. Let's go back to ringside.
Don King. An interesting thing happening here that Ryan O'Neill just pointed out to me. Don King has gone up behind the corner of Larry Holmes here with a very, very concerned look on his face. He's the promoter of that multi-million-dollar fight in the fall with Shavers. Right. If he loses this fight here, Don King will be out perhaps as much money as Ernie Holmes will. Don King could be out. And with it, and if he loses control of the heavyweight championship, I wonder who Bob Arum's rooting for. Bob Arum is... Does this mean that Dwayne Bobbitt is back in the heavyweight picture? Oh, listen, we can't count Larry Holmes out now. It's a little early for that. True. But he is retreating. Marv Aram is the promoter of the WBA version of the elimination for the heavyweight championship. John Chase against presumably Leon Spinks after his fight with Jerry Coasty on Sunday. And if Holmes doesn't win here, the winner of that tournament will really be recognized by the people as the champion. Holmes is giving it to Muhammad Ali now. He's moving away, moving away. That jab doesn't have the power it had earlier. Holmes' jab. It was a terrific jab in the beginning. Now it's a flick. Meanwhile, Mike Weaver gains confidence. In case you're wondering about Weaver's stamina, he's gone as far as 12 rounds twice and lost a decision both times. Now Holmes is starting to open up again. We'll see if Weaver can weather the storm. If he can, it's going to take something out of Holmes. Holmes opening up fast here. Raking Weaver. Weaver taking the punch as well. There have been no knockdowns. Weaver's still trying, but not quite as accurate with the right hand as he was earlier. Not when Larry Holmes jabs and moves. Now he's caught up with Holmes in there again. Good use of the jab. Champion coming back here in this round. Coming back well. Larry Holmes with a lot of trouble managing the left hook tonight, anywhere. Solid punches by Holmes. Weaver may be hurt. Just about. Don King is right behind Larry Holmes in the corner and urging him on. The way to go, Larry, he's yelling. There's a replay. There's Holmes retaking the initiative in this round. Goes dead after the end. There's a right hand that caught him flush on the jaw, but it was too late in the round for Holmes to really cash in on it. Weaver is backing up for one of the few times in the fight here, and Holmes is having a little bit of difficulty in measuring him for the hoops to break. The longer Weaver stays, the better chance he has. Larry Holmes looks very disturbed and out of sorts with himself in his corner. Not like a champion. Well, we're ready now for round 8. Coming up to the halfway mark of this 15-round bout, and it goes the limit. Larry Holmes in the white trunks with the red trim. Mike Weaver the challenger in the red trunks with the white trim. Weaver, after looking particularly good in the 4th and 5th rounds, has slowed down tremendously as Holmes has come back. Holmes had a big first 3 rounds. Maybe that early punishment is taking its toll out of Weaver, but he's still trying. Holmes has turned the fight his way again with his jab. And by staying away, by not looking for the knockout, he might get it. He really established his control of the ring, and now perhaps the opening will come. The crowd is fairly silent. A lot of the sharpness has gone out of Weaver's punching, probably because of those jabs that Holmes has landed on him. They're hard jabs. Holmes keeps backing away, but he keeps scoring with that left jab. Suddenly Holmes opens up. Weaver again takes the punch well. Weaver's jab has been fairly good himself, but Holmes has landed more often and harder. Weaver every so often gets one of those right into the body. Lots of jab, short jab. Good jab. And good hook. All by the champion. He is. Now Weaver's coming back, making Holmes bicycle out of there. Holmes must have lost a lot of weight in these rounds. Those stumps are falling off now. Weaver back into the attack. Not a good round for the champion, though. I got it about 5-2 and one even there on my card.
We'll go with your 5-2. You have Weaver in front?
Oh, no. Are you kidding?
Just kidding.
I gave Holmes the first 3 rounds, Weaver the next 2, the 6th even, and the 7th and 8th for Holmes.
Well, let's see if Larry...
There's a very concerned Don King. Well, he's breathing a little easier, I think.
Well, there is Ray Barnes working with Mike Weaver in his corner. He's telling him, just stay on top. This man will fade.
Now comes the test of Weaver, really, whether he can fight the way he did in the early rounds now that we've passed the midway point. He was a 100-yard dash man in high school, ran a 9.800. Now he has to go the distance. Let's see if he can.
See if he can go the whole mile.
I'm not going to belabor the point, but Holmes' chunks are not going to make it in this fight. He's going to need a safety pin. He's losing so much weight that they're falling off. Oh, here's Mike Weaver coming back. He's got Holmes in trouble again. Holmes talks to him. And Weaver is hurt. He's got the champion.
Oh, it's like Duran Palomino now.
Holmes throwing everything into it now. Throwing on the reserve. Oh, Weaver is taking him and is fighting back. He scored pretty well himself. Weaver has scored well there himself, even though he took a good lathering, and is still taking it. And goes for Holmes' body. This is round 9 with less than 2 minutes to go, and that's Weaver knows where he is. He hurt Holmes. Hurt him good. He's driving Holmes into Weaver's corner.
Larry's tired. He just got hit a hard right. Just when Weaver looked up.
Yes, it does. It could close. Holmes is making a very big effort in this round. If he doesn't hurt or stop his opponent, he's liable to have spent himself. Weaver doesn't have that power on the right hand that he had earlier.
No.
Holmes is winding up
Holmes
with his.
is winding up.
Weaver is on Woosie Street, I think.
Weaver stays right in.
Oh!
Low punch.
Holmes claiming a low punch. The referee says keep them up to Weaver.
And the battling continues.
He's liable to knock his pants off. Larry Holmes is saying, what's holding
Another
this
low
man
one
up?
in there. And my pants. He's landing that right hand, Larry Holmes, almost at will.
The Weaver is taking them.
And Weaver takes it.
The only other tough fight that Holmes had was against Ken Norton, and it was a little like this.
That's right.
There's the bell.
Toe to toe.
Holmes is pretty well spent as we look at him in his corner, but so is Weaver. You know, I look at this fight and I wonder, these two fellas sitting in their dressing rooms watching Duran and Palomino fight
We're inspired.
where somehow this man just may have been inspired. He's so much into this fight. His record says he should not be fighting Larry Holmes this well.
He's a 10-to-1 underdog. You can't taste the best.
You know, right. You know, remember earlier in the evening, Don, I quoted Damon Runyon who said, between two human beings, no one is more than 3-to-1 over another. And we're getting the... Are there any odds on this fight? There are not. No, there are no betting odds, but I think if you had to put a number on it, 10-to-1 would be modest. Yeah. Holmes is out there again. That jab.
The pants continue to slip often. We may have an X-rated home box office.
There's no doubt he's wearing a big supporter. Now Weaver's still coming at him. Weaver still moving in. Trying to get that shot that would turn it his way again, as it did in round 4. Holmes seems to be talking to Weaver. Holmes up on the toes again. Some would say he's on a bicycle. Holmes giving it to Muhammad Ali now. I think his trunk just slipped another millimeter. Weaver pot-shotting him when he gets the chance. Holmes may walk into one of those. He's complaining that he's thumbed. Larry's father that he's been thumbed, and the crowd is booing him for it. The referee did talk to Weaver. Weaver's got Holmes in trouble here now, unless Holmes is playing possum. Crowd chanting Weaver again. Weaver ready to come in with the right hand, holds it back. Holmes bothered by that eye again. Holmes is getting lathered in there. Weaver has taken over again, as he did in the 4th and 5th rounds.
Larry stopped jabbing. When he stops jabbing, he gets caught up with.
It looks like it's a sign of fatigue, really. He's trying to get Weaver to open up and leave himself open for a big punch, which I think is a sign of fatigue. It's not the kind of thing that Weaver has shown he would do. No. He's not thinking very well. Holmes opens up again with some pretty good rights. Weaver fights him back. Holmes gets a new leash on life. Weaver is taking those punches. Just many he can take as the question. They're hard punches by Holmes. Weaver has him hurt. He's hurt. The round is almost over. A big round for Weaver.
There's the bell.
There's the bell.
What a punch.
Wow. Larry Holmes, if this had been earlier in the round, his legs would have a new champion. Here comes Weaver to the attack. Who would believe this? Left hand. Holmes is backing up now. There goes a right hand through his guard. That one hasn't landed yet. There it is, straight through his guard. Holmes is tired now and confused. Weaver still to the attack. The great thing about a contest is the uncertainty of what's going to happen. You just don't know what's going to happen. The East Coast will follow this exciting boxing with Damian Ullman 2. The West Coast will follow with Steve Martin. Round 11. Weaver opens up fast, and Holmes drives him back. Holmes' left eye is nearly shut, Don. His what? His left eye is nearly shut. Right. Holmes is game too. He's tired, but he's fighting back hard. Weaver has no respect for his punch right now. Weaver's fighting a smart fight. He's not right-hand happy. He's mixing them up. Weaver is out fighting Holmes. Taking the best the champion has and fighting back. Somebody's got to go here. Holmes was locked again. Now Weaver is wobbly. Well, 2 minutes to go in this round. Holmes is giving it his all, as a champion should. Weaver's trying to set him up for another right, and he may. He's working the body, too. This has got to be the surprise of the ages. It's one of the best heavyweight fights you'll ever see as well. Very few heavyweight fights where you see this many punches land. I wonder if either of them would be any good at it. I don't know what's holding Weaver up now. Holmes has thrown everything in there. He's not landing everything. And Holmes is screwed up again by Weaver. Oh, what a left hook. A 1-2 by Mike Weaver. Took the starch out of Holmes. He's backing towards the rope. Holmes is in trouble now. But he's fighting back gamely. He wants to end the round in his corner so he can sit down. Weaver trying to set him up again. Weaver is down from the uppercut. Weaver is down from the uppercut. He has to get up. Weaver is out. Good. He may not make it. Doesn't. Hey, he got up. Made it. He got up. The ref is out of the bell line. Weaver is wobbling across the ring. He just made it. And Weaver uppercut. An uppercut set him down at the bell. Or 10 seconds from the bell. Left hand. Holmes is almost out in his own corner. In round 11. They're working frantically on Mike Weaver. There it is now. The corner right now. A dead tired Ernie Holmes is back to his own corner. There it is. A right uppercut. A right uppercut was the punch that did it. Weaver never saw the punch, and those are the most dangerous kind. And Weaver still looks out in his corner, Don. I don't know if he's going to make it. We may have a double knockout. But he better not miss the first one. Here's round 12. Let's see if Weaver can take it now. Holmes got a new lease on life now after that knockdown. And he's got Weaver a little bit gun-shy. Weaver doesn't seem to know where he is. The referee may stop it. I think he will stop it. The referee is thinking about stopping it. Both of those punches are missing. Holmes is still fighting back, however. Weaver's a sitting duck on those ropes. That's all. That's all. After 44 seconds of the 12th round, after 44 seconds of the 12th round, the referee, Harold Ballin, has stopped the fight. And Larry Merchant will go up in the ring and get an interview. Yes, he did, no question about it. Here's the referee moving between them, and I think it was a good idea. Larry Holmes throwing kisses to the crowd, but the real hero is Mike Weaver, hero with the crowd. A rank underdog. He put on a sensational fight, and at one point in the 4th, 5th, and 10th rounds, seemed that he might win the fight. The official time of the knockout has not been announced yet. Let me try and get to one of these two fighters. Larry Holmes first. Larry, just wait a minute. Larry Holmes looks almost out on his feet. The crowd.
44 seconds of the 12th round. Winner by technical knockout. Still undefeated.
I think I was hit. I wasn't hurt, but I was.
Heavyweight champion of the world.
I don't think it was right to stop the fight.
The crowd is booing to a fairly well. They don't like it. Although the referee was right in stopping the fight here. They're trying to revive him, which is probably a little bit more important at this moment. Okay, Larry. A very tired champion, Larry Holmes. It seemed almost like a double knockout. How tired were you at the end?
I was tired. I can't say I wasn't.
Did you try to knock him out early and spend yourself?
Yeah. My daughter wanted to knock him out before the 7th round, and I tried. He hit me with a good right hand on the left side, and he knocked my eardrum a little bit.
You hurt your eardrum. You were saying your daughter wanted you to knock him out before the 7th round?
Oh, the man was stronger than anybody thought. He never got food. All these fighters, or somebody, all these fighters when they fight.
Were you thinking of the $3 million you might be blowing?
I was thinking about winning. That's all.
When you found out that you were excuse me. We'll try to get back to Larry Holmes in a minute. Let's get to Mike Weaver. Mike, at the end of 11, here's Mike Weaver. At the end of 11, put on a tremendous display here. Surprised everyone. Did you surprise yourself?
No, I didn't surprise myself. I knew I can do it. I knew I can beat Holmes. He caught me with a good shot, knocked me down, but I wasn't hurt over in the corner when they stopped the fight.
You didn't think they should stop the fight?
They should have stopped. They should have given an 8 count. He didn't stop the fight.
You thought he should have taken a standing 8 count?
They should have given 8 count. He didn't stop the fight. I wasn't there. I told him I wasn't hurt, but they still stopped the fight. They wanted Larry Holmes to win. That's what they are.
You feel that because he was the champion and you're the visitor from California, that they were anxious to stop the fight quickly?
That's what it was. Cause I'm an unknown. I would expect to win. I would expect to last past 4 rounds. I heard him on many occasions.
When did you know that you could fight this man and perhaps beat him? How quickly into the fight?
The first time, you mean after the fight today? I always feel I beat Holmes. After I saw when he fought Narc, I always did have confidence I can beat Holmes.
You didn't seem to have much respect for his punch.
I didn't have no respect for it. He's not much of a puncher. He's no puncher. So. But he did come with a good shot. That would not be down.
It looked at that point that you were trying to knock him out and got caught by a surprise punch that you didn't see.
That's what it was. I was, trying to get him out, and he caught with a good right hand. and knock me down, but I thought I did pretty good. I think the public liked me.
Well, do you think that this fight will propel you into some good fights from now on?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope so.
Thank you, Mike Weaver. You put on a great fight. Congratulations. Sometimes even the losers win. Thank you. Well, that's the end.
Of March 1960.
As the two fighters go to the center of the ring for the final instructions from the referee, there is a tremendous excitement all throughout the arena. For everyone knows this is a contest which either fighter could end with one punch. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that this fight is going to end in a KO. Only the question of which fighter will be standing at the end. That's Cleveland Williams to the right of your screen in black trunks, who has the fantastic record of 37 knockouts in 47 professional prize fights. These two men fought 11 months ago in Miami Beach. It was one of the most extraordinary heavyweight fights in the past 10 years. In the second round of that contest, Williams hit Liston with every punch in the book. Tremendous right hands, jolting left hooks, and while he was noticeably shaken, Liston stood up through it all. Then in round 3 of that first fight, Liston landed a blistering left hook to the jaw, which put Williams down for the count of 10. Liston weighed in at 210 pounds this afternoon, while Williams scaled 213. It's interesting that these are the identical weights of their previous fight. Neither man has permitted himself the luxury of putting on any excess fat. You'll notice Liston feigning and occasionally sticking out that powerful left jab. He's looking for one opening to drop in that big left hook. Liston is 26 years old and has been a professional fighter for 7 years. This is his 28th fight, and he's won 27, losing only one decision to Marty Marshall in 1954, which he later reversed by knocking Marshall out in the 6th round. See these two giants exchange strong left jabs. Those punches carry jolting power, even though they're merely long lefts. It's apparent that both fighters are content to carefully feel each other out here in round 1. These men have great respect for each other's punching power, and apparently neither fighter is going to take any unnecessary chances. Watch Sonny miss a tremendous left hook. That's the punch which did the job in their last meeting, and it looks like Liston hasn't forgotten. Neither man has an edge in round 1, as both men scored well with long, powerful lefts to the head. As the crowd anxiously waits for round 2, there's an atmosphere of tremendous suspense. It was even money this contest wouldn't go 4 rounds. Such is the respect that the boxing experts had for the punching ability of these two fighters. Everyone knew this fight could be over at the very instant they might look away. Cleveland Williams is 27 years old and has been a professional for 9 years. He's the 5th-ranking heavyweight in the division, and a win over Sonny Liston would definitely put him in line for a crack at the heavyweight championship held by Floyd Patterson. Williams is one of the most imposing-looking heavyweights the division has had since the beautifully proportioned Max Baer was seen in this same division 25 years ago. Williams lands a devastating left hook and then a torrent of tremendous punches. Liston is taking them all. Now it's Liston moving in, looking for a chance to end it here in round 2. He lands some blistering punches of his own. Williams comes back with 3 punishing left hooks. Watch Liston come on with a barrage of dynamite punches, trying to end it right here. comes a tremendous overhand right by Liston. Sonny follows it up with a smashing right and left hook to the jaw, which puts Williams down. Cleveland is up at the count of 8, and Liston wants to finish it. He closes in on Williams in the corner and sends in a volley of rights and lefts to the head. Williams goes down for the second time from that barrage of punches. Williams gets to his feet, and the referee examines him closely and decides to stop the fight. Liston moves in, but the referee steps between the two fighters and wisely declares a knockout victory for Sonny Liston. For the second time in 11 months, Sonny Liston has knocked out the powerful punching Cleveland Williams. Sonny Liston, a great heavyweight, takes one more step up the road to the heavyweight championship of the world.